Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and come back generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. Hope you guys are having an amazing, blessed day today. Hopefully, you guys aren't getting too overwhelmed with the holiday season coming around, and Mariah Carey's getting ready to sing her songs, her Christmas songs all year, or the next, I should say, next 2 months or so. Um, but yeah, man, I'm excited to have my boy Durrell, because it's, I think honestly, bro, you was the first, because those that's been rocking with me, right? When I first started, I had Lamar with me, and he's doing his thing with coaching. So obviously, it was just more so me. But I think, bro, you was the first one I had on when 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 I was
Yeah.
going this solo route. So I think you was actually my first guest. So it's pretty dope to have you again, especially because I know you've been kind of chilling, doing your thing, stuff like that, man. But how you doing, bro?
Solid, man. I'm blessed. Can't complain. Glad to be here, man. Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty sure I was the first, and it's beautiful to come back full circle. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to be here, my man. Love what you've been
Yeah,
doing.
man.
Keep it up.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. So, as you know, I like to do icebreakers. So I have to ask you, of course, you being such a big Phoenix Suns fan, what's what's your expectation, sir, for this season?
Development. We're in somewhat of a, trying to rebuild in a sense, trying to get an identity back. Booker's gonna be Booker. Right now, they're looking like they got some young pieces that they could possibly work in and develop more homegrown talent. Hopefully, they stay away from that super team chase. I I'm not a fan of it, and it doesn't always pan out. So, uh, yeah, so right now, I'm okay with where they are. I don't have high expectations. Just don't be the worst team in the league. Let's get a lottery pick, but don't be the worst team in the league.
I was gonna say though, if you're the worst team and you can get a top pick, is it work? Because this draft, as you know, bro, and people they might not know, but I'm one of those people. I love college basketball, y'all. Like I love it, one, because I just like it because it's more pure for me. Like it's not a lot of antics and all politics, all that. But also, I like looking for the next talent, the next wave, right? And so, in my opinion, this draft is actually gonna be better than last year's draft. So with that being said, bro, if your team is, hot garbage, maybe, of course I'm not I can't stand Phoenix just because I feel like they did us dirty when we played y'all, being a Clipper fan. But that's beside the point. Like if y'all are trash, would you rather be, I'll put it like this, would you rather your Suns be terrible and get a top five pick, or would you rather be good enough to make the playoffs but be out in the first round?
Um, this don't necessarily apply to this team in this situation, but I'd rather be garbage and get that top five pick. The reason why I say it doesn't apply, correct me if I'm wrong, the Suns don't have a pick for the next couple of years in the first round.
Oh shoot, yeah. Then y'all need a win. Y'all.
So yeah, so we need to go ahead and play with them people that got our picks and do somewhat well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. You guys might have to chase that big three. You guys.
That's what got us here in the first place.
That's true. I understand being a Clipper fan, so I definitely know you'll struggle. With that being said, though, man, I definitely want. We were talking about like different things, different topics, man, and a thing that really came up. We talked about is just like when your child in a sense becomes like the mirror of you, right? Like the reflection of you. And so I wanted to ask you, bro, like when did you and well, no, actually I'm pretty sure you have by now, but when did you first realize like your boys, even, or maybe one of them, but realize your boys was a reflection basically of you, like with your habits, maybe your tone, maybe your mindset. Like, when did you first realize that, bro?
Man, for my youngest one especially, I'm gonna just lean more on that one. Really and truly, it's more of when I started to see his reactions to things. I growing up especially, I was really bad with being snappy, but I was always the quiet one at first. Like I'm quiet, I'm observant. He usually walks to a room, he's quiet, he's observant. It's nothing that I taught him. It's something that just naturally comes to him. He doesn't say very much, and there's times even me growing up, I just kind of allowed things to happen until somebody's like, "Oh, did you need something?" And they're like, "Yeah, can I have that too?" Or somebody got to kind of speak up for me, and he does that. Or what I'm saying. And there's times now where looking at him, and people are always like, closed mouths don't get fed. So you got to speak up for yourself. You got to say something. And it took me a while, even growing up, to learn it. But he does it naturally, like me. But like I said, I used to be snappy. So when you got to me, I had something back for you every time. He's like that. He's got something back every time. And sometimes I'm like, that's me. I need to curb that now. We need to flip that around. Like we need to go ahead and turn him into speak up when you're supposed to and learn to just respond respectfully, quietly. Not everything demands your energy, but I used to give them my energy. And now today
Yeah.
I don't. But when I started seeing that come out of him, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me right there. That's me right there. And
So it sounds like, bro, he was one of those like. Well, I think we all were. Well, I want to say all. I was like this. It sounds like you was like this too, where, you know, you hearing grown. You know how they say, man, this grown folks, conversation, get out of here, right? Like you hearing grown conversations, because you just being quiet, just like, oops, shoot, wait, that happened, because that was me
observant.
for sure. They're like, how
Just
you do this?
picking up everything in the room. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, no, I was definitely that kid. I definitely was that kid. Like you said, grown folk
Yeah.
conversation. I was in that room somewhere peeping, peeping. But other than that, I mean, that's
And
more
so
on
you
the,
know,
the what's up?
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, that's just on the behavioral tip. But he had his, like I said, even my movements, just how the way I walk, the way I approach certain things, the way I pick up things. I'm just like, is that what I look like? And then I realized that's what I look like. And there's a lot of times I want to blame it on his mom, and then I sit back and like, nah, that's me. That's definitely me. Not always bad things. He's got a lot of good qualities, good
Yeah.
traits in that too. But it's usually the bad things where I'm kind of like, that's not me. That's his mom. But then I do realize, at the end of the day, that's definitely me. It gets me even more. My mom's like, you used to do the same thing. I'm like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. It wasn't me.
Be in denial, like, no, that's not me. No, it's funny you said, because that's what literally, like, my aunt and my mom and stuff would do at times when I was in Cali. I'm like, no, I didn't do that. And it's just crazy though, like you said, like picking up certain habits and stuff, because all my kids at times do certain things. Even my oldest, right, which is through marriage, obviously, but I've been around her forever, right? And it's crazy how like I'm a very silly, goofy person, and people that don't know her, they don't see that side, but she is very like silly, just like real, like with certain things. I'm like, dang, that's literally how I be acting. You know what I mean? It's just funny, like how she picks up some of those mannerisms that I do. But all my kids, they pick up some type of, even the faces. Like my wife
Right?
always gets on, like, I don't know. There's a face I make, and she be getting so mad because my son, my oldest son, he be making, I guess, similar faces. She's like, "Oh, that's you right there." So it's funny. It's funny that you say that. But I want to ask you too. Then, so has there? Because you kind of mentioned it a little bit. So has there been? Well, I know there has been a time. What's a time, I guess, when maybe they done something, or made you stop for a second and was like, "Dang, this really is me right here."
I probably would say, if I had to dig deep into my bag there and ask, I probably would say he actually has comments. So like, times you see something, you might make a comment about it. Well, there's been a couple of different times where we might be in the car, we might see something, or we could be at the store, we'll see something, and normally I'm the one that makes the comment. When he takes that comment and says it first, it's a freezing moment. Like, okay, I gotta watch what I say around this kid. He's picking up a little too much. He's me. He's made my comment for me, and then we both laugh because it's a funny comment. It's always it's something funny. So it's like, okay. I hope he's not doing this at school, even though I hope he is doing it with his friends so they know. But at the same time, you got to be nice. Um,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, it's the same thing as well in this regard. If somebody's sick, mainly it could be me, it could be his brother, it could be his mom. If somebody's sick, he will literally go ahead, get the blanket, go put it on top of you without even asking. He'll go ahead and make sure you are good,
Mm,
comfortable. And that's me. That's just like, hey, at the end of the day, I need to make sure my people are good. Even
yeah.
with or without. And I'm like, I didn't do that as a child, but I do that as an adult. And that
Mm,
tells me that he definitely has picked up on some positives from me as well.
that's true. No, that's true. Do you think um do you think most dads realize like how much our kids absorb the things we do? Like even when we're not talking, right? Like literally our mannerisms, like we could not say a word, right? Like they joke all the time, like when you know our kids act up, right? As fathers, we can just kind of give them that look, and they know like okay, like all right, that means we gotta stop, right? But do you think like we as fathers realize that? And for you, like, like did you really realize did you really realize how much like your son was just taking everything in, or is it one of those things like you said? Obviously, you have people pointing out, but was it like at a certain point where you like, dang, no, that's like for me, like with my son, like now that he's 10 now, like a lot. Like it drives me crazy at times. I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of his mannerisms is me, right? With my youngest ones, I see certain as well, but with him, and I think it's just because he's older. He's in fifth grade now, so they're finding themselves. They're almost at middle school, but not at middle school, right? So it's like his personality is really coming out, and at times it drives me crazy. But but I wanted to ask you, like, do you think, I guess, as fathers, we realize just how much they're absorbing what we do?
I think there's times we get like a glimpse of it and we might feel it to an extent, but I do believe a lot of fathers get caught up with, I mean, first of all, providing. That's
Mm,
always the first thing. And I do feel like sometimes we get caught up providing that we do miss out on those opportunities of what they're seeing. Our kids do see those things, and that's when we can kind of miss opportunities to be more, with them, spend more time with them, teaching them, encouraging them, growing, helping them grow, because we get caught up in everyday life. So
mm,
I would say, yes, some dads do see it. I mean, actually, let me rephrase. I think all dads see it. I think some dads just see it in different pieces. Some see it longer, some see it just in small little pieces. Uh, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I do believe that we do see our kids and how much they do pick up on us. But again, sometimes we're just so caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life and trying to provide for them, we fail to realize how much they're constantly picking it up. Like as your child, my child can come and say something to us right now. I'm like, man, you heard that from me? And then go about our day and do the same stuff again. And like, I didn't realize you just showed me that you're picking up what I'm putting down. So,
mm.
there's that. And these kids they're not stupid by no means, right? Especially with
Yeah,
the way technology is today. These
yeah.
kids are sharp. They're picking up a lot. We don't necessarily realize that we say something, they hear it, they understand it. Sometimes they choose to follow it. Sometimes they choose to go around it. They know they can get away with it. They're gonna definitely try to get away with it. So,
No,
and at the
that's
end of the day, that's what we
fact.
show them. That's what we show them. If we show them that you can get away with it, or better yet, that we're not on top of you, even after we told you, they're gonna keep pushing it. But I think they do get it. They do understand.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, I agree, man. So, like, I guess has there been a moment where, it could have been behavior, nothing even crazy, right? But just maybe a moment where, you know, your kids did something or whatever, and it made you kind of want to change or reevaluate certain things you're doing, right? Where it's like, dang, like, you know what, like their behavior in a sense is a reflection of things I need to work on or my mistakes or my frustration, right? Because I don't, how old is your son right now? Or your youngest son? How's your youngest?
Just turned 12 September.
Oh, he just turned, oh, shoot, yeah.
Yeah,
He for sure preteen. So,
yeah.
you
He's
in the
pushing
trenches for
lines.
real.
He's definitely pushing the envelope.
Yeah. So I guess that's yeah. So that's for sure. Yeah. So this question is actually perfect for that then. So yeah, have you seen, you know, I guess just little moments or whatever where you were like, dang, like what, this something like yeah, I could be upset about this, but this is something I need to change in myself, or this is something I used to struggle with or frustrated with, right? And and I see that this is something they're struggling with as well.
Um, really and truly, just the motivation to get up and go do stuff. And that's not
Mm,
in a sense of being depressed or anything like that. But sometimes they say, "Hey, let me go take care of this right now. This can be done now instead of waiting." Procrastination, if you will.
mm,
I have struggled with that a lot more so in the past than now. But there's times where I'll see something I'm like, cool, I'll get to it in a little bit. I'll get to that tomorrow. But I starting to see that in him as well, where he wants it to like, nah, I can wait till tomorrow, or my dad asked me to do this, but I'm going to do it in like 30 minutes to an hour. But me gets it done. Him, 30 minutes to an hour, it ain't done. And I come back and I'm like, bro, what's going on here? What do we got? But
yeah.
that's in me. I do got to change that up. I do got to keep pushing him to be more on top of the game, more following what's being told to him. But almost all kids have that issue. Almost all kids are going to struggle with that. Especially like I said, if they can get away, they're gonna go ahead and do what they could do to get away or skate by doing the bare minimum. Um, but at the end of the day, like I said, if he's got nothing else going on, he's right on top of it. Sometimes I don't even gotta ask. He's gonna look around the room and see this needs to be taken care of. I need to empty the trash. I need to go take care of the dishes. So it's an in between. Like I said, it's something I need to push more just
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, uh, if you by yourself, you're not nobody else gonna do it for you. You got to take care of your own business. So I do try to encourage him to be more self independent, but also at the same time be motivated to take care of business right away instead of pushing it off till you forget about it or till it becomes a mountain.
Now, for you, this is more so for you, but I mean, obviously, they're watching as well what you're doing, but this is for you as far as what do you do, bro? When because like you said, you want to get up and take care of it, which is a great mindset to have, right? Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people have the opposite as far as they're gonna push it as late as possible, right, to the very
Yeah,
last minute. So, which is great that you're that way, but what do you do when you're not able to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish right away? Like, how do you make sure you don't get in your head like, oh shoot, I wanted to, whatever it is, I want to travel here, I want to start this business, I want to, right? And you can't do it right then and there. You couldn't book that cruise right then and there because you thought about like, oh yeah, this is what I say I want to do, right? So what do you do to make sure you don't get in that place where you're beating yourself up, right? It's like, dang, I still haven't accomplished this or I still haven't did that. So how, and the reason why I asked that as well is because obviously, right, that's another way that our kids are watching us, right? Like,
absolutely.
dang, what happens when dad can't do this? Like, he's not able to do this right away. Matter of fact, he has to push it way further than he thought of. Like, does he quit? Does he give up? Does he, get in the place of start beating himself up? And you might not say it, but maybe your demeanor, maybe, you know what I mean? Certain things like that. So I know that's a whole different question, but I was just curious about that, bro.
No, that's a great question. Great question. Me personally, I like to try to plan it out at that point. Normally, I try to plan things out further in advance anyway. Um, Especially if it's going to involve him, I let him know, hey, this is the game plan. This is what I like to make sure we're going to do. If we're going to take a summer vacation, which we've done every year for the last 3 years, let's go take a vacation. Where did you want to go? I have him throw me some ideas. Cool. I'm going to look up the numbers. We'll discuss it. Now it's on me to figure that out, right? I'm not going to be able to put it down right away, but I'm going to have to figure it out. I'll budget it, but we're not going to skip a beat on what we're doing in an everyday life. I might have to cut back on my side, which is the sacrifice. But at the end of the day, like you said, they see that. He's going to understand my dad did sacrifice. May not necessarily appreciate it now or really just gather what that sacrifice is, but eventually he will understand. And at the end of the day, I'm going to enjoy, we're going to enjoy, we're going to have a good time when we go and do what we're going to do. But at the end of the day, I don't beat myself up for it. And even if I miss that deadline of when I said we were going to do something, to sit down, let's figure out a plan B. Let's get an alternate. And we go do something anyway. We're going to make it fun. We're not going to sit there and sulk. We're going to try to find a way to make something happen. So, I
Mm,
know this year we had to change up a few plans on some things, and at the end of the day, it still was a great time. I do my best to make sure I can provide the best for him, and I got a great village around me, that helps bring that to the table. So usually I'm not alone on it. I can usually help and call somebody out to say, hey, can you front me this, or can you help me schedule out this, or can you sit down with me and brainstorm to figure out how we can get this done. And again, that's to get him to understand you're not always by yourself. Like you said, they're watching. You're not by yourself. You can figure things out with people, with friends, with loved ones, family, that's going to help get things accomplished.
mm. No, that's real. So as like you said, that which is good that you can understand that and do that for yourself. So what, I guess, how has it been as far as for you as a father, like as far as the you growing, right? Because especially with your youngest, right, being 12. So like what I guess what's the challenge, if any, of you as far as growing in the space emotionally and spiritually and just mentally, right? When it comes to, because shoot, it feels like I remember, bro. It feels like you telling me, I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but I could swear like he was like I don't know 8 or 7 or something. He was like small. I felt like, right, and now it's crazy that he's 12. But in that, not only is he changing, you're changing as well, right? You're changing emotionally because you're in a different place than you was when he was younger, right? You're in a
Absolutely.
different place, mentally, spiritually. Shoot, I'm sure the way you even view fatherhood is different now than when he was first coming, what I mean, into this world. So, like, how has that been, I guess, as a father, for you, man, growing in those spaces?
There's times where it's tough. Not gonna lie, there's times where it's tough. There's times where I may not necessarily agree with his mom, and we have to have battles. There's times where I don't necessarily agree with what he's trying to accomplish or articulate to that he wants to do. At the end of the day, he's got to learn. But for me, growing, it's like okay, cool. I want to protect, but there's times I do have to let him fail a little bit, right? And that's something I'm learning. That's something I'm learning that he's gonna have to fight that hard fight sometimes, and I'm there. He ain't gonna fall too hard, but I do know that with the older one, I didn't have to do it as much because it was at the time we were together. So separating, having him, and having basically doing like a single parent, two different households type of situation, it's a challenge. It really can be a major, major challenge. But I feel like me personally, I did grow to understand that I'm a support system. I'm also a role model, and that at the end of the day, I might get frustrated. I might get my feelings hurt, but I still have to be his backbone as well. Um,
Mm,
so at the end of the day, that's what I say. How's it been for me, especially mentally? It can be exhausting, but it's still very rewarding when you see him going, promotion from school and getting awards, things like that. It's so rewarding. But that's the
mm.
mental side of it. It's you got to stay grounded. You got to keep pushing to make them a better person. And at the end of the day, I always want him to be a better person than me. So I'm going to keep pushing for him to do that. Emotionally, uh, I mean, there's not too much more behind it. I love my sons. At the end of the day, I want them to always be able to be proud of me as me being proud of them. So at the end of the day, I have no extra tie to it. It says emotionally, like I said, there's times I am sad. Where he might choose, especially my 12, might choose to want to stay at his mom's house. Or he might not want to go with me. And go do stuff with me. And my partner. Maybe he doesn't want to go do stuff with us. You know, and it's like, man, why not? But at the end of the day, he has his
Yeah,
own mindset. But there's times too where you don't get a choice, and that's where with me and the growth that comes as well. Giving him a choice sometimes isn't always the right choice. Sometimes you do have to understand you may not want to go now, but I promise you, it's something that you're going to enjoy, you're going to learn from, and you're going to be glad that you did. Um, Sometimes you got to stop these kids that think they know everything from being their worst enemy, and that's with them blocking themselves from opportunity.
I agree. I actually wanted to ask you about that. What do you think about, you know, about this thing of it's almost like again, I love, or not again, but I should say I love the fact that you know this generation of kids that we're raising, right, have a different type of mindset, are go getters, right. A lot of them are trying to expand their knowledge with different things. I think that's amazing. But what do you think about this where everything is a choice, right? That's where my issue is at times because I don't feel like for example, like I'm not gonna like okay, no, I'll use this for example actually, especially I have 4 kids, right? So it drives me crazy at times, right? Where my lady cooks dinner and everyone else wants like their own special thing, right? It's like, no, this is what was made. You guys either eat this or be hungry, right? Like, no, right? Now with my youngest, sometimes just because of certain different things, I do have to tweak a little bit, like certain things with him. But for the rest of them, I'm like, this is what it is. Like, this is what you have to eat, right? So, like, what do you think about this, bro? Where everyone seems to it's almost like their kid, like it's almost like we're in that age right now where it's like, hey, we're gonna let the kids raise themselves, and we're just gonna be here to kind of support, right? Like whatever they want to do, cool, you do that. What's your thought on that, bro? Just because, like, I agree with you. Like, it drives me crazy with a choice. I don't feel like, because people look at it like you're, I don't know, being a bad parent, forcing them, you know, oh, they don't want to, I don't know, I'll use a sport. Your daughter doesn't want to play tennis, right? Your son doesn't want to play track, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, I look at it like, okay, I won't force my kids to play whatever it is, but I do want you to be active in some type of activity. Why? Because I look at it like, you know, a lot of what they call it. What do they call it? It's like the spare what? I forgot. Basically, too much time is like the devil's playground, right? Something like
Yeah.
that.
So,
I can't remember the actual phrase right now. But point is, like, right, I don't want my kids to get distracted. Oh yeah, now they're distracted with these girls or these boys or uh, um, shoot, gangs, whatever, right? There's all these different things, and I have boys and I have girls. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to make sure or I'm trying to make sure all of them are staying focused. So I know I just did a long rant, I guess, but I wanted to ask you, bro, just what's your thought on all of that?
um, I used to be the one to say, no choice, you're going to do what you're told to do. That's what we are. Then
Mm,
it got to the point where it kind of changed up, where it's like, okay, you have a choice, mainly because being in different environments, I understand it may be a little challenging at times. So if you want to go over there, you can go over there. If you want to come with me, you can come with me. I'm not going to make you stay over somewhere you don't necessarily want to be or you're unhappy.
yeah.
Now, literally in this moment, when I say in this moment, within these last few days, in this moment, we're in this area, choices things flying back out the window. I can't
Mm,
afford to have choices be made too often. You can give me your opinion. That doesn't mean that's going to actually be what it is. I respect you telling me how you might feel about a situation, what you think, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to ever put you in a situation where you're going to get hurt or something bad is going to happen
mm,
to you, right? Or where you're going to end up getting put into the system because I robbed a bank or something. I'm not going to do that.
yeah.
And I promise you, the people I'm around aren't going to do that either. So, at the end of the day, the choices thing goes out the window. And if kids have the choice today, like you said, video games, they're going to pick that over going outside and playing for the most part. Kids today, rather, like I said, rather be shopping at the store, doing whatever they're doing instead of going into an activity, sport, sharpening their skills, whether it's people skills, whether it's focusing, whatever they need to do. And that's what sports do, right? So that's one thing I will say that the choices things that's going out the window. Like I said, we got to make sure you are going to do these things that you need to do. And again,
Yeah.
running it back to the lady that I'm seeing, she's very big on family. She's very big on spending time together and doing things together. And that's part of why I'm like, okay, cool. We have these choices thing. We're gonna go away from the choices thing. And somebody that's not your mom that plans for you to be a part of things is a special person in my eyes, and I want him to make sure he understands that as well. So your dad
Yeah.
can pick them, sure, but at the end of the day, you got to understand and appreciate when somebody out there is doing something for you, and clearly they care about you enough that they're doing that. So what I'm saying with all that is, your choice is no, I don't want to go, but if somebody's or just me in general or somebody says, hey, I want you to come along because you're going to have a good time, I'm thinking of your interest, things that you like or things that you might like. You saying no is, like I said before, you're stopping your opportunities. You're blocking your own blessings. You never know what you're going to see and experience and what that can turn you into as a person, as an adult, as a man, when you constantly are saying no, you don't want to do something because you're in your comfort zone. And comfort zone for most kids is being locked onto a phone, a tablet, playing video games, not going places, not seeing different things. Sports wise as well. I mean, my son runs track. He's 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 fast, fairly fast. Finishes well, but want to give him more activities. Track is only one season, and that's like I said. When the no thing started, was because he missed an opportunity for he went to do basketball, missed the tryouts for that, and volleyball missed that by a week because he wasn't focusing on that. So now dad's
Mm,
got to step back in. I got to tighten that up, and be more on them to be focused and be more present in that. But at the same time, that's where that comes in for me, right? I got to make sure I'm a little more present. I'm a little more focused as well with him. Um, Transferring to middle school has been a different vibe, but he's doing well. But my whole thing first is focus on academics, and then we go into the rest. And like I said, at the end of the day, if he had a choice, there's times he wouldn't want to go to school. You're gonna get up and go to school. There's times where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to get a ride to school. You're not getting a ride to school today. Get up and walk. You're not too far from the school. You can walk. So again, eliminating the choices just because you don't need to have a choice for everything. Sometimes you just need to go along with the people that love you and what they're trying to teach you and show you because you don't know everything. You're not going to learn everything either until you start trying to experience more things. So at the end of the day, getting back to it, full circle, uh, as far as the choices go for me, choices, they're nice. They're good. Everybody should have a choice. Everybody should have, oh, let me risk. Not everybody should have a choice. Everybody should have an opinion. But children, we grew up with that where we didn't have choices. We were taken where we had to be taken. Oh, I'm going to the store. There's no, you want to stay home. It's jump in the car. I'm going to the store. There's
Yeah.
no, oh, I'm going to grandma's house. You can stay back for a little bit. I'll be back in a few hours. No, you're coming to grandma's house. So and granted, who wasn't turning down grandma's house anyway? But just to give an example, back then though, you didn't have an option.
Yeah.
And nowadays
Yeah.
we feel too much that the systems were, not protecting, but they're actually more like ripping the kids from us by giving them all these options and things that we did not have, things that we did not sign up for. And once again, we get caught up in everything that we sort of allow it. Um,
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, yeah, the options, choices, those are going out the door. And like I said, I'm in real time with that right now. Like I said, as of this weekend, it came up to eliminating the choices. We've come too far, and these choices aren't benefiting us. So we're gonna get you back on track.
Yeah. I mean, I agree too because at the end of the day, you know, as fathers, right, we're going to protect you. We're going to do our best to put you in position, like you said, to succeed. And there is going to be, some rules, some boundaries, and certain things. And as especially, you're raising young men, right? So as raising a young man, like, hey, as you grow up, you're not going to have a choice with, or well, we always have choices, but basically at the end of the day, it's not the right choice if you could say, you know what, I'm going to quit my job when I know I have a car note, right? And I don't
That
have
part.
no other money, right? or I need more money, so I'm gonna rob a bank. Like, no, like there's consequences. Like you can still choose, but there's consequences to it, and it's not going to be anything that's going to better you, right? And
Facts.
so we have to show them as they're young, hey, this is what you're going to do. Why? You can explain it. This is why. Why I shouldn't have to go to school. No, you're going to school because A, B, C, and D, right? You're explaining it to them. Well, I don't understand. You'll thank me later, right? And
Mm-hmm.
nine out of 10 times they're gonna thank you like, oh yeah, thanks dad for forcing me to do this or having me do this, right? Because if not, I look at my friends that got to choose whatever they wanted, and I'm looking at their life like, dang, like they didn't have that structure. They didn't have this, So I think it's so important for us to make sure, especially as we're raising young men, to
Mm-hmm.
understand that. Even if, like you said, with tablets and stuff, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. That's awesome. But guess what? That still takes work. You don't just wake up in the morning and have a million followers, right?
Yeah.
You don't just go viral with it. So you still going to have to put the work in. Like it's not, oh, that sounded great. Well, dang, this is hard. Yes, because it's work. Like anything you're going to have to do. And if that's what you really want to do, guess what? You have no choice, right? When it comes to your goals, when it comes to your dreams, you don't have a choice. If you
True.
really believe in whatever you're trying to do, there is no option, right? Like at all. Our favorite athletes, right? It could be Jordan, Kobe, whoever, right? A lot of times they looked at like there was no other option. This was
Yeah.
it for
Yeah.
me, right? And so obviously it doesn't have to be sports with anything. So I like the fact that you said, hey, right now, and again, it's not like you're saying like, hey, at 18 years old, you gotta do what I say. Like, no, you're trying to prepare him so when he is 18, you're like, hey, I did all I could. I showed you what I could. Now you have the tools, right? Now at the end of the day, you have to know when to use them. There's gonna be different issues going on with this car of life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you got to make sure you have the right tools to be to fix whatever needs to be fixed. So I love that, bro. That's real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's work in progress, though. You know what I'm saying? Every day's a
Oh,
new thing.
always.
But I,
Yeah.
I will say this though, for the record though, at the end of the day, you're doing your job as a dad to raise your child, right? To raise your children. You have to make sure you are comfortable within yourself to do what you're doing. But at the same time, getting outside influence doesn't hurt. Outside influence doesn't mean you have to move to that. But hearing people's different mindsets, different reactions, different feelings, different thoughts on things doesn't hurt. Don't take offense to it. The ones that take offense to it are already behind the eight ball. Be confident in
True.
yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I said I'm definitely still learning within myself too. Just be confident in the moves that you make. Right, wrong, or indifferent, be confident in the moves that you make. Things can be undone to an extent, but again, if you say something, you want to do something, and it's how you want to parent, just make sure you stand 10 toes down on it. And if somebody gives you a
Yeah.
thought and opinion, be open to it. Sometimes, most of the time, like I said, there's no manual to being a parent. We get experiences through other people, right? We have to hear other people. We see our experiences from how we were raised, how whether we liked it or we didn't like it. So at the end of the day, when we hear other people give a suggestion, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to get offended. You can speak up
Yeah.
about it. You can have a slight disagreement with it, but at the end of the day, you need to hear people out because most people that are giving you opinions, most are doing it with love. They're doing it because they want to see a better product at the end of the day. Because maybe you're not saying you're doing it wrong. Maybe you're doing it too slow. Maybe you're not doing it hard enough. Maybe you're not as intense as you should be. Maybe sometimes they don't see the response that the child should be giving you, so they're trying to make sure that you do it better. So when I'm saying that, it's just again, like you said, I want to be a YouTuber. Sometimes kids just need to hear, "Hey, that's a cool dream. Let's do a fallback, and you can do that as a hobby until that becomes your main." Let you want to be a YouTuber. These are the kind of things that come into play with that. You need to be able to interact with other people. So let's get you into sports so you can learn what's like to have a team and work in a team. You want to be the star? That's fine. But sometimes you need to go into that. You want to do music? Cool. Let's sign you up for some classes so you can see what the work ethic's like to even get to that point. You want to do
Hmm.
engineering? Let's get you to see some classes. But not everything, or everything nowadays, is on YouTube. Not everything's learnable through YouTube. Sometimes you got to go in there and talk to somebody that's been there and done that. So what I'm saying with that is part of these kids and raising these kids, and at least with mine especially, the reason why that options and that choices thing is going away is because he ain't going to make the choice to better his tomorrow. He's going to make the choice to satisfy his today.
Yeah. No, that's real, bro. That's real. I mean, and at the end of the day, too, like you said, like, getting different opinions or whatever, that's why it's so important, I feel like, to have a community, right, that really supports what you're doing and really is for you, right? Where you feel, hey, I'm struggling in this. What is something you did when your son did this or your daughter did this? And it might not necessarily work for your child, but at least you have an idea. It's just like with a business, right? Like, there's so many similar business. Me and you could be selling the same product, right? Having the same type of thing. But for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason, you're selling a little bit more on this product than I am. What did you do, right? And you're telling me, hey, you're sharing different ideas. It might not work, or maybe it works, but I had to tweak it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's just like with all things, man. So yeah, I think that's key, bro. Is just for us to really have people that we can go to, like, hey, man, I'm struggling with this, and that's why I joke with people all the time. I'm like, I have 4 kids and they all are different ages. So whatever question you have or whatever you might be dealing with, I might be already dealt with that. So what's going on, right? And even with that though, I never, even as you guys know, when I have someone come on, right, they're sharing their experience, their story. Same for me. I tell you guys all the time, I'm not perfect at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just stuff that I've learned, stuff that I've been able to be mentored with, and have certain connections that's helped me a lot to show me different things. But none of us are close to being a finished product at all. So, um, but with that, bro, I want to ask you, man, like, um, how do you use this? I guess my to to close it all out. How do you use those? I'm gonna call it like those mirror moments, right? To teach both your kids and yourself. So when I mean by mirror moments, just like you said, those moments where you do see those reflections, um, that of certain things. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but just more so like it could be a positive moment too. It could be like you're proud, like it's a proud dad moment, right? as well. But how do you, in those moments, how do you use it? Or I should say, how about this? In those mirror moments, what do you gain from that? How about that?
Um, for me, again, got positive and negatives, but in both environments, it's that my kid sees me, that my kid loves and adores me so much that he is absorbing what I do. So again, that's where I do need
Mm,
to see the negatives. He's learning those from me. Positives, he's learning those from me. But at the end of the day, he's learning from me. So that's
mm,
encouraging because there's a lot of kids out there that are learning from the world. They're not learning from their parents. They're not seeing their actual role models. They're getting idolization from other people or other things that don't care about them.
yeah.
So at the end of the day, what they mirror for me is for me it's a blessing that, like I said, to know that I have that strong of an influence on them. Once again, not perfect,
Yeah.
like you said, we're not perfect, um, but I do love that I can see those things and I can see, okay, cool, this is what I do out there, this is what I'm doing in the world, this is what people see me as. So if they see, if
Mm.
my kid sees me as that, I'm pretty sure the rest of the world sees me as that. Those are the kind of things I do want to kind of shape up and make sure I kind of can fix, not even just for his sake, for my sake as well. So at the end of the day,
Mm.
for me, it's just saying, hey, at the end of the day, we can make things work, but I got to be cognizant of what's going on. And like I said, that's where I feel from those is I feel like I have an opportunity to still be a big influence in his life as long as he's mirroring me. If he's not mirroring me, I got to figure out who is mirroring and how to fix that. But if
True.
he's mirroring me, that's almost a control thing to where, okay, I know that I can do better, I can be better, I can guide him to be better. And
Mm.
that could just even be simple things of, you know, going to church more often. He sees that, right? He's mirroring, okay, he can ask, are we going to go to church? Or when it's time to go to church, cool, let's go. Let me get my outfit for church ready. So those kind of things are like, all right, cool. He's starting to get those. And those things I want to keep encouraging and keep polishing. The things that are like, man, I don't want to do this. Or, man, I forgot this and I didn't do this. Those are things where it's like, okay, he sees me not care as much about certain things, and I got to make sure I push on him tendencies
Mm.
and follow through on these things and make sure that you are. It's okay to be systematic in certain ways. It's okay to be random and spontaneous in other ways. But when it's stuff that it pertains to you and your tomorrow, you got to be on top of it. Don't expect somebody to be setting up your tomorrow. Your tomorrow starts now. You got to make sure you have your
Mm.
clothes ready. You have to make sure you have your keys. Make sure your phone's charged. Make sure you have all these little things, because when you don't have it, you can't blame anybody for not having it. If you don't have it, there's no other way to get it. You can't automatically just throw charges into your phone. You can't automatically just wave a wand and your keys magically appear to get into the house. You can't get in the house. You stuck outside till I get home. So let's avoid all those things. Let's take care of these small
Yeah.
things now. So at the end of the day, that's why I constantly trying to push that on him. Just get in the house, get those habits going, positive habits. But yeah, just to say, at the end of the day, when I see those mirrors, it does make me feel like he's watching, he's actually seeing, and that means I feel great. But that means also I know I still need to keep working.
Mm. No, that's dope, bro. No, man, I definitely one. I appreciate your time, man. Just you taking the time out, and then, of course, like always, I want to give, you your flowers, bro, and just hearing it too, because I know it's not easy. Shoot, even at times, I remember growing up. At times when I would go to my dad every now and then, to my mom's, right? Just the different dynamic. Obviously, you see your boys way more than I saw my dad, but like the dynamic is just definitely difficult at times, right? It could be challenging at times, and so the fact that you're just very conscious to make sure, hey, when I have my kids, they know that they're loved, right? They know that I'm here. They know that it's not good. I'm not going to treat you differently because you know I'm dating this person. I'm gonna make sure, matter of fact, the person I'm with is going to treat you with respect. It's going to care for you. It's going to be understanding. Hey, I'm a father, right, and not to try to put that in the back burner. So knowing that, man, knowing that you're conscious of that, man, and it's not easy, right? It's not easy at times, just because it could be so many different things going, back and forth. It's a different dynamic. The way you do things is different than the way their mom does things, right? And so,
Yep.
but again, with all that, man, you're focused on you. You're focused on what you can control, and making sure, in that mirror they're able to see a good reflection, and so
Right.
yeah, bro, I'm just grateful for you, man, and I appreciate your time, Brody.
Man, thank you for having me, man. It's a blessing. It's good to be back. You know what I'm saying? Talking to my boy and just being able to share with the dads. It's a beautiful outlet, beautiful device. So thank you again for having me. Thank you for just this platform. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro, appreciate you, man. And you guys know, like always, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.